Hi Ducks, how are you? I'm sorry I have been away for a while. It wasn't intentional. I did have a video lined up, but at the risk of being sued by a well-known author, I decided not to do it. Because she's going around suing everybody who she doesn't like. So I haven't got any money, so she would probably wind up getting me sent to prison. So I'm not going to do that video, or I might do it but in a different format. So this video is a sort of update to a number of things that are happening or have happened in the last month or so. So the first one is the ruling by the dying government of the United Kingdom, of Great Britain and Northern Ireland, that they are banning puberty blockers for trans youth in private healthcare. So not done are they at denying it for people trying to go through the NHS. They've now ruled that private doctors can't prescribe puberty blockers. So you can't win in this country. This ban is going to stay in place, I think, until the 3rd of September, when an incoming government will have to decide what they're going to do about it. Now, the chances are it'll probably be a Labour administration, and it'll be very interesting to see exactly what they do after the 3rd of September. They're sounding a bit gender critical at the moment, and they've rolled back on all their policies on trans rights to get the fascist vote. But it will be interesting to see if the Labour win the next general election that comes up on the 4th of July 2024. It'll be interesting to see on the 5th, if they do form a government, what they do after the 3rd of September. So it's not good news. It's the dying transphobia of the dying transphobic government, basically. So they've done that on the way out. The other piece of article that I picked up on, that we warned about a few months ago on Transhampton, the podcast we don't really do anymore. The Guardian was going around looking for trans folk who were self-medicating to come forward and talk about their issues, and there was a big warning throughout the whole community on social media not to do this, and basically everybody in the community told the Guardian to go do one, and they didn't get anybody to take part in their report. But the report was basically, did you know people are self-medicating on hormones? This is terrible. We need to stop it. So they're coming for your moans. So that would seem to be what the next angle is. The next angle is stop people from self-medicating, deny them access to hormones if they're just going online and going to a reputable company and ordering it online. I don't know how successful they will be. Because a lot of cis women, when it comes to things like estrogen, do buy their hormones online. It's not just trans women, trans femmes, it is also cis women that buy their hormones online through mail order, through a reputable pharmacy in a country like, say, Czech Republic or Slovakia or India. Some people do. It's not good, but it is an attempt by the media to draw attention to the fact that we can still transition. You can't stop us. And they're trying to stop us. So they're making a big deal of it in The Guardian, and they're trying to stop us. I know plenty of my trans friends self-medicate. It's very difficult, as you all know, if you've seen from my videos. It's very hard to get an appointment with the NHS for gender treatment. A lot of us self-medicate. Some of us are actually going through the NHS and self-medicate because they haven't prescribed the hormones. They don't do the bridging hormones that they're supposed to do through your GP, which is allowed under the care system in this country. They don't do that. So a lot of people have to self-medicate. It's just the way it is for trans folk in this country, because the government has screwed the country up so much that the NHS is a complete mess. There was other news about the NHS going all binary. their review and charter is coming up for renewal and will last for 10 years. I think it's up for renewal next year or later this year. I can't remember off the top of my head. But they're all going binary. So they're saying things like trans women will have to go on a male ward but in a private room, and trans men will have to go on a female ward in a private room. How many hospitals do you know can cater for the trans community in their local area with umpteen private rooms? Yeah, the NHS has gone binary. It would appear that the GC lot have managed to get their hands into the powers that be at the NHS, and they are seriously screwing it up for us. And then, well, it kind of looks from the consultation that's been had around the change to the charter that they're not even listening to their staff. Their staff, as I have personal experience of, will not put a trans woman or a trans man on their assigned ward of birth. It's just, it would be a nightmare. Can you imagine cis women letting a trans man who's full on T in to their ward? Big, beefy, beard. That's going to go down a storm, isn't it? But the government and the NHS is not looking far too much into the future. So yeah, it's all bad news, and it would appear that every time I do a video it's bad news. I'm getting a bit sick of it. So on the other hand, there are some lighter news. A lot of it I can't go into at the moment because it's all up in the air, but it's to do with Pride, and it's to do with Trans Pride Southampton. The Pride's in Southampton. It's good news, but we have to wait and see what's going to happen. So there is some movement going on in Southampton to do with two of the Prides, and I can't say any more than that, but watch this space. If you see a video with a particular title in it saying something like that, please watch it, because I'll look forward to making it, because I'll be very excited about the news to tell you. On a side note, Danny, if you're watching this, please get better soon. Don't like it when you're poorly. So get better soon, Danny. I hope you're feeling better since you got out of hospital, and I hope you recover well. It's not good to have you off air and incapacitated to some degree. So get well soon, Danny. So yeah, it's not much light news other than the fact that there's a general election. So maybe we'll be able to get rid of this transphobic lot and have a slightly less transphobic lot in government. You can see why so many people in the trans community emigrate abroad from this country. It's not very safe to be trans in Britain anymore. You don't hear of too many assaults on trans people. When you do, you know it's serious. But it does happen all the time. It just doesn't get reported on. The government doesn't. I don't think the police necessarily class it as a hate crime nowadays. They look for every other excuse to classify the crime as, other than a hate crime. And as far as I know, the police do not hold statistics on trans-related assaults and crimes against the person. So it could be a lot worse in this country than even people in the trans community realise. We did the radio show, The Spectrum, the LGBTQ queer show for Southampton and the world, at the weekend on Saturday, and I mentioned to Mabel, who was co-hosting with me, how when you go out in public, you're always hyper aware of what's going on around you. And when you deal with members of, say, the council or your local surgery or your local clinic or so something like that, I was saying to her, there's always something in the back of my mind when I'm doing it, thinking, does this person hate me for who I am? Are they going to give me a poor service and treat me badly because I'm trans? because they know I'm trans. That's not good. That's not good to go into a situation thinking, does this person hate me? Do they want me dead? But it's just something I've noticed recently when I'm dealing with things like that. Yeah, not good news. We roll on. For the foreseeable future, I may be hosting the Spectrum Radio Show in Southampton. So if you're in the city, tune in on a Saturday between 2 and 4 p.m. Please tune in to Voice FM for Spectrum. I hope I entertain you well and play some good music. Please like, share and subscribe. And I will see you again soon, everybody. Goodbye, Dax.